Hello everyone, welcome to Chaudhary Data Watch channel. Today I am here with a new video on SQL series, that is what is trigger in SQL. So we'll be watching all the details regarding this trigger in SQL into this particular video. So let's get started with the video. So the basic question that where this trigger stand in a whole SQL server and why even we are reading it, all the things we will linking it back whatever we have read it till now. So I'm just going one slide back into which I have already covered up that what are widely used SQL objects. So widely SQL objects are basically table, views, stored procedure, function, trigger and synonyms. Till functions we have already covered up, into which we saw that what is table, how to create view, how to deal up with this stored procedure and function, and today it's the turn for trigger. So we will be watching this trigger now. So this trigger is a special type of stored procedure. It's also a type of stored procedure, but it's a special type of stored procedure that are automatically executed, or in another term it is fired in response to a specific event. Suppose some event it is getting caused onto the particular database, that event will fire this particular stored procedure, because in normal stored procedure what we do, we just execute that stored procedure with execute command. But here in this particular case we don't need to execute it specifically. It will be executed once that any event will cause on the particular database. So moving ahead with some other thing, that what are types of trigger. So basically the trigger is categorized into two categories. One is DML trigger, another one is DDL trigger. DML trigger is just that there is no very vast difference, or you may say it's not something like that you should be very much be conscious about, because this trigger is just for categorization. We have put it into the category DML or DDL, but the trigger will remain same, the process will remain same, everything will remain same. So we can set either before trigger can be set after the event has been done or the event has been occurred into the database, or also before the event whatever it is done into the database. That means we can have a before trigger or we can have it after trigger. Both are possible for in the case of trigger. Now coming to this DML trigger, this is for data manipulation language trigger. So whatever insert, update and delete command will work on the database, definitely you can set before or after trigger, which will execute as soon as this insert, update or delete happens. So this will the uses I have just, for example, I have mentioned it, enforcing data validation. If suppose some data validation you want to do as soon as the data comes into your database, then you need to validate that data. You can just go ahead with this particular scenario, or there is audit changes or performing action based on data modification. So there are multiple uses you can go and search online, that how we can have this trigger applied at which scenarios. This is not that much, and this is not on which we will be focusing right now. And this DDL trigger is again which will deal with the data definition language like create, alter, drop. So when create, alter, drop is getting executed on the you may say database, definitely this particular trigger is going to be fired. One more important point to be kept in mind for trigger, that it can also be executed if the database is restarted or the server is restarted. Even then we can set up a trigger to get executed. So now coming to the trigger part, the example of trigger, what I have told that it's a special type of stored procedure. Just I will compare this trigger stored procedure and the normal stored procedure so that you can get a comparative view that how this particular one is existing. So you can see here that in normal stored procedure we are having just create procedure name as begin and the set of code whatever we want to put it there. In this trigger, only difference you can see over here that create trigger name, till here the things are same. Only difference is this two line, that is on order, that means on which particular table you want to put this trigger. So on order, after insert, that means we want to create a after trigger. If we would have done before, we can also do it the same way. That means instead of this after, you can put before insert. And apart from that, everything will remain same, that as begin and the set of code. Now in the set of code, you can see that inner join with inserted. So since what we are doing here, we are updating the order table with order date is equals to get date. Now this particular one, how it will detect, how this SQL server will understand that this particular data, it is new data. So that new data will be you may say pulled out by a logic. That logic is that this temporary table, inserted temporary table, into this one we are having this order ID created into it. So what we will take, what we will check, that whatever the data it is into the inserted table, that is temporary table, will take that particular data and we will update order date into this that particular table against that particular data. So this is how the whole thing is executing. I will just go to the SMS so that I can show you in real-time scenario that how these things are working. So first of all, we are having this create a statement, into which what we are doing is we are just creating the trigger which I just right now showed you. This particular one, when I will execute it, it will create the trigger, you can see over here, right? And as soon as this is getting created, you can have just a view of this order table, that how this order table is even looking. So you can see that in order table we are having 5 records. In those 5 records, 4 records having order date as null, and another one we are having some date. What we will do now is we will just insert a new value or new row into this order table, and we will check this if this particular trigger is working or not. If it would be working, what it will do is it will just update this order date automatically as soon as we insert any data into this particular table, and whatever the get date value it is, this get date function will be throwing out, that will be inserted into the order date column. So what I will do is I will just insert a new value to it. I will just change few of the things. Here I will do it 5, and here I will do it 1500.7, so that it should insert a new value or a new row. We are now executing it. As soon as we execute it, you can see over here there are 2 times 1 row affected. The another time what 1 row affected is showing you that this particular trigger has been executed. To verify it, what we will do, we will select a star from this particular table. You can see over here that 6th row has been inserted along with the order date. Even if we haven't provided order date, it has been provided by that after trigger. So this is how this whole trigger works, and you can now understand that what its use is. It's very useful, and it's very useful in various scenarios. I have already showed you there that what all scenarios it may happen into day-to-day activities. So that was all about this video. If you found this video helpful and informative, kindly like to the video, subscribe to the channel, and any confusion let me know into the comment section. See you in the next video with some other topic. Thanks again.